Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the West Fargo City Commission meeting, Monday, October 4th. I would respectfully request that everyone turn their phones off with the exception of emergency services. Please join me in a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The first order of business is to approve the order of the agenda. Commissioners, it has been distributed. Is there any additions or corrections you'd like to make?
Make motion to approve.
Commissioner Olson moves. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Commissioner Jurdevig seconds. Been moved and seconded to approve the order of the agenda for Monday, October 4th for the West Fargo City Commission meeting. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Next order of business is the approve of minutes for, is that date correct? September 20th? Yeah. Okay, September 20th, 2021. The minutes have been distributed. Commissioners, you've had them in your packet. They are also online for the public.
Make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Jurdevig. It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Olson seconds. Been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of September 20th, 2021 as presented. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Item E is building permits. The building permit report has been distributed. You have it in your packets, and it isn't for view of the public as well. Is there any corrections or additions, comments that the commissioners have?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner George. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Commissioner Olson seconds. Been moved and seconded to approve the building permits report as distributed. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Next order of business is the consent agenda. We have items A through G. Again, Commissioners, this has been distributed. They are in your packet, and it has been distributed to the public via the internet.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Jurdevig. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Commissioner George seconds. Have been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda, items A through G as presented and distributed. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Next order of business is the regular agenda. Item number 1 is a public hearing and a continuance of the proposed North Pond at the Preserves 15th edition rezoning from commercial office park to light commercial of Lot 1, Block 1 of North Pond at the Preserve 2nd edition. Ms. Sankey, planner, and from the planning office will be. I'll be all right. I promise. Lisa, please take care of this one.
Thank you. The request before you tonight is to hold a public hearing on the rezoning from commercial office park to light commercial. In May, the Planning and Zoning and City Commissions reviewed and approved site plans for a 3-story medical complex under the Interstate Corridor Overlay District regulations, with plans to go through additional site plan review for a similar building to the east, which would be connected. The applicant has since determined they would need to have separate parcels for each structure. Under the commercial office park district guidelines, they would not meet the setback requirements due to the connection between the two proposed structures. The applicant is proposing to rezone the property to light commercial in order to meet the setback requirements, as well as replat to provide 4 separate parcels with private access easements throughout the development. Preliminary site plans show the specialty surgery facility, which was approved in May on Lot 1, connecting to a future building on Lot 2. Lot 3 shows a future structure to the east, while Lot 4 to the south is currently undetermined. The applicant has asked that this item be continued until at least the October 18th City Commission meeting, as they're trying to determine the proposed access location on the east side and whether they will need to have a traffic study. The public hearing notice was scheduled for tonight, and it was published in the official newspaper, so there may be some individuals present to comment. Staff recommends opening the public hearing for comment and continuing it until additional information is available from the applicant. I'm available to answer any questions, and there may or may not be people here to have any comments.
Thank you, Ms. Sankey. Commissioners, are there questions? Planning? We have none. At this time, we're going to go, we'll recess from the regular agenda. We will go into a public hearing regarding the proposed North Pond at the Preserves 15th edition rezoning from commercial office park to light commercial on Lot 1, Block 1 of the North Pond at the Preserve 2nd edition. We are now in a public hearing. Is there anyone that would like to speak to this item? Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak to this item? Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak to this item? The public hearing is closed. We had no comments from the public with regard to this item. Commissioners, as you heard from Ms. Sankey, they're asking that we have a continuance on this item to the October 18th meeting. Could I have a motion to that effect, please?
Make a motion, we table this until October 18th, you said?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Commissioner Simmons. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Jordan. We have moved and seconded to have this as a continuance or a tabled item of the proposed North Pond at the Preserve 15th edition to the next meeting. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 2, Chandler thinks, introduction and presentation. Page 58 in your agenda. It has been distributed. We have with us Ms. Richards this evening from the Communications Department. Welcome.
Good evening, Commission President Dardis and Commissioners. I am here tonight to introduce you to Chandler Thinks. They are a consultant that's here to do a site visit for our community branding work. Throughout the week, they'll be doing one-on-one interviews and focus groups and a large community input session. And I wanted to take this opportunity for you to get to know them. So with that, I'll invite Steve Chandler of Chandler Thinks up to introduce himself and his team and provide some information.
Thank you, Ms. Richard. Good evening. Welcome.
Good evening. How are you all doing?
Good.
Great to see your community. My name is Steve Chandler. I'm the owner of brand strategist with Chandler Thinks. 2 other members of our team that made the trip with us, Greg Fisson is our director of research. Susan Ewing is a planning strategist as well. And so we're going to be doing the things that Melissa talked about. But needless to say, I think it's a little important that you know a little bit more about us. We're talking about something that's pretty important to you. It's where you live, it's where you work, and it's where you spend a lot of time investing in the future of this community. And so your image and your reputation is precious, and we take it that way. By the way, I have one of the coolest jobs that I know of. I help places brag about themselves so they can care for all those things that I just mentioned before. It's a pretty cool gig, right? So just tell you a little bit about us. I was told to keep this around 10 minutes. Is that cool?
Yes, sir.
Wonderful. By the way, it's Tennessee accent. It only comes out in a couple of words like high school, things like that, right? And, oh no, what did I just do? How, did I just do it this way? Okay, good deal. I think it's important to put this project in the appropriate context. The level of esteem that a city's name evokes has a direct impact on the health of its tourism, economic development, prestige, and respect. The book called Branding for Small Cities and Towns, written by a man named Bill Baker. I wish I wrote the book. I guess that's a compliment because it's a great book. But it's really focused on what is really branding a city about. It's not about logo. It's about so much more than that. It's about its reputation, its identity. And I think that's super, super important. I've learned, I think we've seen cases of this happen in the last couple of years especially. If you do not proactively manage your reputation and your identity, something or some person will do it for you. And our city is too important to leave that to chance. That's why this is an important project. because everyone that lives in this community depends on this being a great place. That's what this is about. A little bit about us, won't get into too much detail about it, but we're a place marketing company, actually located out of Franklin, Tennessee, but that's all we do. We do not work with healthcare. We don't work with bowling ball companies. I used to do that in a previous life. We do not work in finance. We don't work with cola products. We work with places. We work with municipalities, tourism organizations, economic development to help them with their community. We do a lot of research around that, help them with some ongoing marketing, of course, but mostly a project like this is our bread and butter. It's what we do. We are a place branding company. We're not locals, and I think it's important. I think you have a responsibility to be able to ask that question. Why'd you choose a Franklin, Tennessee company? You need to be asking that question. I know you already have. You should. It's for this reason. We've worked with a lot of places, needless to say. Our experience of working with places and understanding the unique dynamics of what it takes to actually develop a brand for a place. And it's not just myself, our entire team has done it. I've worked on over 125 branding projects in my career. So has Greg, so is our creative director, Kevin Henson and Cindy. Each of them have done this well over 100 times. So this is a team that has done this. And we also, like a good golfer has their own golf coach. Sometimes it's pretty nice to have someone from the outside look at you with the perspective and the goals in mind of what you want to accomplish and knows how to get you there. They may not be a better golfer than you, but they look at you without any bias, and that's what our goal is. We have a research-based process to do such. That's just some stats on how many places we've worked with. What is place branding? It's the purposeful orchestration of a place, West Fargo, to positively affect its image and build its reputation by exploiting what makes you great and creating shared experiences that are attractive to, and this is in order on purpose, to residents first, businesses, and then visitors, our guests that come to our community as well. It is the purposeful orchestration of everything you do. It's how you talk. It's your landscaping. It's your corridors. It's your entryways. It's your public art. It's your education. It's the types of businesses that you recruit. Everything you do affects your reputation. Let's be purposeful about it. That's what we're going to try to do and try to help you do. Little tip, don't do this. No unveiling. There might be some design elements that come out of this project. I'm telling you now, don't unveil a logo at the end of this, because this project isn't about just a logo. It's about your story, right? It's about being able to tell all that's great about this community. And if you just do the logo, a logo alone will not change the brand. It just doesn't happen. If I had greater time, I would have opened up and asked you to name some communities in the region that you think have strong identities, strong reputations. In the interest of time, I'm going to make them up for you. How about that? Brainerd, I don't know, Moorhead. I won't say the guys immediately next to us. That's sensitive, right? Maybe Duluth. I would also challenge that you all might not know what their logos look like. If you think about it, you might not really know what their logos look like, but you know they have strong identities. You know what kind of place it is. That's exactly what we need to do. You probably don't know their taglines either. It doesn't change the fact that they don't have strong identities, right? This is about more than that. Do not get me wrong. I'm a marketing guy. A good logo and a line is super important, but it has its role, right? Those things are strong once people experience what we have to offer. They remind people what a great place it was. The people that I came in contact with were so nice to me when I stayed at the DoubleTree Hotel, right? They were welcoming to me. They made me feel like I'm home. That matters most. So when they do see your logo or an ad, they'll go, that's the place that made me feel that way. That's what this is about. So a little tip. Unfortunately, a lot of people in your community are going to think this is a logo project because we all grew up watching this. So we think they're great logos. They also had more than a logo. They had about $50 to $100 million over the course of just 5 years to make those logos tell a great story, right? The story came first. Your story comes first. That's what we're going to do. So definitely more than a logo project. Without getting the details, this is as far down the details as I'll get, I promise. But our approach, this project's going to have 4 stages. First one is going to be exploration, discovery. What is our story? everyone in this community will have the opportunity to give some input about what West Fargo is all about, right? We're going to have interviews, focus group, public meetings. We're actually going to have a branding West Fargo Facebook page that I personally moderate, so I keep it pretty tight, if you know what I mean, wink, wink. And we're also going to find out what your neighbors think about you. We're going to go outside and ask people, what do they think about West Fargo? You may say, I don't know that I care. Doesn't matter whether you care. It's the truth. Your neighbors know a lot about you. They see you when your garage door is open. They see what's inside, whether you're messy or clean, right? They know what time you come home at night. Your neighbors know a lot about you, and it does affect your reputation. That's the truth, and we need to understand where that lies as well. So we'll be doing research outside of West Fargo. We will be doing a community perception study where anybody that wants to give their input on it will have the opportunity to do so, and I hope they do. That'll be our phase one. We have to take what we learned from that. That moves us into phase two, which is where we evaluate and figure out where do we go? What do we do next, right? What is our strategy for doing so? Phase three is what everybody gets excited about, wants to put their attention to. That's where we start to express our story, design, and those elements come out in that. What are the messaging that we use for our various departments of our municipality and our community? And then lastly, but maybe most importantly, what do we do with it? We're not going to make recommendations of what you should do, where you need to stick your logo. I think you have a hired professional that knows how to do that, right? But what is branding our community? If what I'm saying is true, what do we do? What are the opportunities to tell our story throughout our community? And we're going to be making recommendations. So that's kind of an overview of really our program. And I want to give you this visual to give a context of really what a community story is about. These are 8 pillars of every single community, no matter what community it is. Any of these things can create a strong identity for a community. Any one of them. Any 2 of them can. Heck, all 8 of them can, right? The types of businesses that you have can completely define you. There's a little town in Tennessee named Lynchburg. There's one business that you already know is in Lynchburg, Tennessee. It completely defines it. San Jose, California, also known as Silicon Valley. Another example. So the types of businesses that you have say a lot about who you are. I'm not going to go through all of these to that detail, but all of them matter. Your culture, your arts, your entertainment, right? Your food that you have can completely define you. Your heritage is important. People say when we brand our town, our city, is it about where we've been, where we are, or where we're going? And the answer is yes. All of those things matter. They're very important for our community. So all of those elements will be important as we brand West Fargo. A lot of our recommendations are going to be about how do we get our story told in all of these areas of our community, which means what the municipality does, but also how can we get others involved? How do we get local businesses involved in telling your story? That's branding your community. How do we get art involved? How do we get your great schools involved in telling your story? Now, notice I didn't say, do you think we can get them to convince them to use your logo? They don't want to use your logo. That's yours. But the story belongs to everybody. And that's what really branding a community is about, and really where our recommendations will go at the end of this project. So hopefully that kind of sticks with you a little bit. So yeah, we'll have a lot of great looking stuff. I figured if I'm going to be doing these things for you, I'll show you a little bit of show and tell, but I can't go too much. I've run out of time. So yeah, whether it's ad messaging, outdoor boards, who knows what's necessary at this point. Letterhead and stationery, and we'll even show you possibly what wayfinding might look like, right? We don't claim to be a wayfinding company, but place making is a big part of place branding. Having a sense of place that helps you know this is West Fargo is important. And so all of a sudden, I got Public Works involved, just like that. It's going to be, it's more than just the design. And I know it sounds like I didn't like logos. I love them. We do a lot of great logos for communities all over the country. So thank you very much. I appreciate your time. One last thing, action plan. We're like all the other consultants, right? We get blamed for giving you this big binder, right? You get the binder, right? You know you're going to get a binder. We also know that that's probably going to sit on a shelf. You don't read. Everybody says they're going to read it, but they don't. We can't stand for that to happen. So we actually try to boil it down into a one-page action plan that says, here's what we need to do. What are the priorities and the timing and the budgets necessary for us to get our job done, and for the people that you've got in charge of it to move the project forward once we're gone. So excited about the project. We do take this serious because we know how important your community is to you. But if there's any quick questions for me, I'd love to take them. Thank you very much.
Questions for the gentleman? Ms. George?
So obviously you're very good at what you do and you have tons of experience. I have no doubt about that. I will say I was one of the no votes on this, and it's because it is very expensive and it's a pretty big investment with our taxpayer dollars. So what I want to know from you is, can you explain just a little further with this investment, then how do we get our return on investment? I mean, I know you talked about the storytelling, but can you just get a little more into that, like how to get the return investment back then on this?
Sure, absolutely. The number one question that we get, your job is to ask me that question. You know, here's what I want to say, which already means I can't completely say it. But what I want to say is the result of a better reputation, right? Better branding, we look more professional together, we get attention better, right? Is sales tax dollars are going to go up. We're going to get more people to come here, right? We're going to have more people moving in, possibly at the level that you all approve it, of course, right? That economic development is more successful. We have better jobs, right? All that stuff. Those are the measures that your constituents care about, because it affects their pocketbooks and their property values. I'm lying if I say this project alone will do that, because you all know how much of the community has to work together to make those things happen. It looks a lot like that round place branding wheel that I had, right? It takes a lot of entities working together: education, economic development, realtors, right? It's everyone working together. But those are the measures that matter. What I will say is, hopefully you have a more unified voice as a community. You have a stronger identity. So when people say, what's there to do in West Fargo when I land at the airport, they're going to have an answer for me next time. Okay, I got one answer: Bonanzaville. I know it's not even in West Fargo. They didn't know that, right? I've spoken to 2 or 3 people today already in interviews. The identity of West Fargo is something they're like, I want to know what it is. All right, can that be measured? Yeah, we're actually going to get measures on it. We're going to get measures of of how strong the identity is, or what it is, how strong that level is. We can go back and measure: did we increase it? Did we change it? Do we change our identity to be more positive than it was before? So we're going to establish baselines on all of that. A lot of that's perception stuff. You have to believe that the perception stuff affects the bottom line stuff when we work together. Hope that helped. That's the best answer I can give you. I know the ones that count, but I'm not foolish enough to say that just because of the branding project alone, those things are going to go through no, it takes way too many people to work together. But if we're working together on a similar story, it's going to be stronger, it's going to be louder. A choir sounds a lot better than a bad vocalist any day.
Thank you.
Additional questions? Thank you, sir. Welcome to North Dakota. Welcome to West Fargo.
Glad to be here. Looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 3 is the city administrator's report. Mrs. Fisk.
Good evening, Commission President and Commissioners. I don't have anything that I haven't already sent you to bring forward, but I would like Lauren Orchard to come up as our Economic Development Director and talk about the Main Street event next week.
Good evening.
Good evening. Hello, Commissioners. So I want to offer a reminder to you and the rest of the community that on October 11th and 12th, we will have many people throughout the state coming and visiting for the Main Street Summit, and we'd like to invite all of you, if you haven't already signed up, to attend. It will start off with a bus tour of West Fargo, where we really get to show off some of our gems. And we'll be having the governor attend that event as well. So we're very excited to show off our community on that day, on the 11th. And then on the 12th, we'll have the actual all-day event at the Rusted Center, starting from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. So if you have any questions about that event, please let me know, and we'll get you signed up.
Thank you, Ms. Orchard. Any questions for her? Very good. Mrs. Fisk, do you have anything to add to your correspondence? I know you've distributed to the commissioners.
No, I do not. Thank you very much.
All right. Do any of the commissioners have any non-agenda items they'd like to bring forward this evening? Do any of our department heads have any non-agenda items they'd like to bring forward this evening? All right. Mr. Simmons.
Move to adjourn.
Mr. Olson.
Second.
We stand adjourned.